Pure privilege. Okay. Dun, 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 dun. Matt, then Mary. Yes, you're owning this. Okay, so Matt and then Mary's going to go. Sound good? Can I introduce you?
Sure.
You want to be introduced as Matt or Matthew?
Whatever you'd like to introduce me as.
Matthew David Grishman.
Oh, there you go.
Nice. Right? Isn't that right?
It is.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna go casual today. I'm gonna just keep changing it up. Ladies and gentlemen, will you welcome Matt Grishman?
Well, that is fantastic. Before I go, Jen is making me really uncomfortable with all of this because I've had a lot of speaking coaching in my life, and what Jen is encouraging me to do is to throw all of that out, take everything from a scripting standpoint and just kind of let it rip. I've even hired this person right here to help me craft funny into my talk because I suck at it too, right? So this is, I don't have an outline. I don't really have a script. This is just kind of my life and my experience and kind of an idea for us all to reimagine. Just being somebody who's been in the money business for 26 years, you know, I'm one of those guys who spent the majority of that time looking at my bank account at the end of the month and going, where the hell did it all go? Which isn't supposed to be for people like me. People like me in the money business are supposed to have it all together. What you see on the outside, which I did a brilliant job of creating, is supposed to match what's on the inside. But it never really did. And I was the only one who knew that. You didn't know that. So have any of you ever wondered at the end of the month, looking at your bank account, where's it all gone? Now, we could make this a conversation about budgeting and spreadsheets and how to get your financial house in order, because that's what I did for years and years and years. And that's what I coached other people to do for years and years and years, was deal with this symptom of being just completely haphazard and having this train wreck of a relationship with money. And we treated it by getting our financial house in order. But what if, just for a minute, the actual solution to that problem was this relationship we have with the person that we actually look at in the mirror every morning? What if the solution actually was right inside that, you know, we wake up in the morning, we go into the bathroom and we're looking at this person, right? The hair's like this and the body's all, I mean, I got these love handles in this gut and I got these freckles all over my body, right? All this stuff that I used to hated looking at when I see myself in the mirror in the morning. What happens if we can connect the dots between learning how to create some unconditional love with that person, and all of a sudden now at the end of the month, I know exactly where all my money went. How do we connect that with that? When I was 12, a boy walked up to me on the playground. I just moved to a new school, and this boy, Jerry, he walked right up to me and he reached out and he rubbed my forehead. And he looked at me and he said, "Hey, Jew, where's your horn?" I'm going back to that moment because I had no idea what this kid was talking about. I'd never heard this before. But what it did was it made me feel really different. And all I said was, okay, don't run away. Don't give in. I'm watching all these kids circle up and they're all laughing at me now. Okay, hold it in. Don't cry. Don't run away. I was out of there. I gave in. I took off. And I think that was the moment in my life that I actually put this mask on, where all of a sudden I was never going to let you know how I felt on the inside. I was never going to let you know what the real me was on the inside. And I was going to create this person on the outside of who I wanted you to know. Now, the secret to success in doing that was I had to go make a lot of money. Money was the key to everything to me from a very young age. At 16, I fell in love with a girl, and I knew that if I could buy her anything in the world and take care of her and make her comfortable, then she'd say, I'm her hero. If I'm her hero, then I could go back to that ugly dude in the mirror in the morning whose hair is a mess, who's got love handles and a belly and freckles and all this stuff. And I can go, hey, she said you're a good dude, so you're okay, right? Of course, I still couldn't look at these parts of my body that I didn't like. But I could believe that I'm a good person if she says I'm a good person. If all of you say I'm a good person, then I could believe it. So there I went from the age of 16 on, chasing money to take care of my people so that I could actually look in the mirror and feel good about myself. The exact opposite happened. I got on Wall Street, right? You remember that movie Wall Street, Michael Douglas, Gordon Gekko? He was my hero. Not because he was a criminal, but he was my hero because of one thing that he said. He said, greed is good. That became my mantra. Where do you go make lots of money? You go to Wall Street. That's where you make lots of money. And I went to Wall Street and I made lots of money and it was fun. I got to travel first class. I got to see the world. I got to drive really cool sports cars. When they opened this Ruth's Chris up in Roseville, Friday night date night with my wife became $300 bottles of wine that I would just guzzle down like they were, bottles of water. I mean, we lived a really good life. We chased money. But that relentless pursuit for chasing money, for me, wound up destroying almost every relationship in life that really mattered to me, especially the people that meant the most to me. And it wound up leaving me looking in the mirror and actually hating the person looking back even more than I did when I was a kid. So this solution that I had of chasing money to give me what I wanted, it backfired and it was actually the opposite. It did the opposite. In 2005, I was standing in my bathroom ready to give the biggest talk of my life. I was at the top of the career working for one of the largest life insurance companies on the planet. I was their national spokesperson, about to get on a plane to San Diego to give the talk in front of the entire industry about how to create financial security in people's lives. Amy calls in from the bedroom. Hey, Matt, did you take some money out for me before you leave? Right, this is before the days of iPhones, and I need to take the kids to Sunsplash while you're gone. I need some cash. Well, I went online to look up how much cash we had and which bank account to take it from, and there wasn't any. I was overdrawn on my bank account by $210. Granted, I had a deposit, largest deposit of my life just a week before, and it was all gone. My credit cards were maxed out. My bank account was overdrawn. I had no dollars of purchasing power. Zero. How am I going to pay the cab to get me to the airport? How am I going to check into my hotel once I get there? How's Amy going to take the boys to Sutter Pediatrics and pay the $10 copay if they're sick when I'm gone? And I'm supposed to go talk to these people about creating financial security, like in front of thousands of financial advisors. This is my test. And I'm broke. I'm broken. I'm broken. All I could do was get in my car and drive. My thoughts were wild. I was a mess. I was driving up Highway 65 and I was looking in my rearview mirror. And all I could see staring back at me was my $4 million life insurance policy. And the fact that Amy, Miles, and Lucas would be better off with that than me. A big rig truck was coming down Highway 65. And I thought, all I got to do is turn this wheel a little bit to the left. And everything's better. I have these three really complicated relationships in my life. The one I have with money has been a train wreck for most of my life. It had a huge impact on the relationships that I have with my people. That's another really complicated relationship for me. And this third complicated relationship I have is that one with the man in the mirror looking back at me. Thank God I asked for help and didn't go head on into that truck, because I met a man named Jim. And there was something about this guy that I could tell him the truth. I couldn't tell any of you the truth. I couldn't tell the world the truth. I'm a rock star. You can't know how I feel on the inside. I've got to keep my outside strong, successful, rock star. Otherwise, Jerry might find out the truth about me, that I'm a scared little kid who runs away. Jim was a financial advisor, and I went and I sat with Jim. And I told him my story, and I waited for his collar to get turned around and the carrot grader to go out. All that money you made. But he didn't do that. He did something I've never experienced with another man before in my life up until that moment. He expressed empathy and compassion. Blew me away. It was nothing I'd ever experienced from another man before. Wow. I've never experienced that before, but that had to be really hard. And he gave me a way out. He told me he'd help me, and he showed me how to help me. And he introduced me to this concept that back then we had no idea what this concept was. Today, we call that concept financial sobriety. And what Jim helped me do back then was he helped me realize that I had these three relationships with money, with people, with myself. And if I chased the money, I could take care of my people. I'd feel good about myself. What happened if we just turned that around a little bit? And I actually first started with that relationship with myself. There was some kind of hole in me that I was filling with how I'd spend money, how I drink, how I do things, all this destructive behavior, but primarily with money. I didn't have this relationship with the person in the mirror. And that's where we started. We started developing a relationship, and I couldn't think my way into this relationship. I mean, my best thinking is what got me into this trouble. So I had to kind of fake it until I made it. Jim put me on this austerity diet, right? He had to help me get my financial footing underneath me where I wasn't spending money anymore. But the austerity diet was more than just not spending money anymore. It wasn't taking into my body anymore what the world, what the megalomedia machine, I like to call it, was telling me I was supposed to look like, I was supposed to want in my life. The perfect body, the perfect lifestyle, the perfect health, the perfect car, the perfect family, the perfect vacation. He made me shut all that out. He also started helping me figure out about this conversation I was having in my head. I can't. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not rich enough. I'm not a good person. How do I take all of those things, those dialogues, and start changing that inner dialogue? Well, that's not something we're going to figure out here in 18 minutes, but it's something that I've been able to do over a lifelong journey, the last 16 years that I've known this man. But it's not something I know I've done alone. It's something I've done through this process called financial sobriety, where it's just about becoming super intentional with that relationship I have with myself, super intentional with the relationship I have with other people, which kind of makes the money thing pretty simple. It makes it super intentional with how I use my money now. Because I've learned to forgive myself. I get up every morning, I look in the mirror. I used to have these things written on my mirror. This was kind of the trick that I used back in the day. And this wasn't something I came up with. This is something I was taught. I took out a dry erase marker on my mirror. I forgive you. I love you. I'm proud of you. I believe in you. The first time I walked into my bathroom and read those 4 things to myself, it looked like this. I forgive you. I love you. I'm proud of you. I guess I'm supposed to believe in you too. I mean, you want to talk about faking it. But I did that every day. Every day. And it was about 60 or so days in that I actually started believing a couple of those sentences. Today, those are the only 4 things I say to my boys. Everything else is a question. when I learned to love myself unconditionally, which was a process of faking it till I make it, where my insides actually now match my outsides, I was able to turn around and give that to the people in my life. That's what they needed from me. They didn't need my money. They needed my unconditional love, my ability to love them without requiring anything back from them. And once I got that relationship right with self and was able to start giving it to the people that I love most in life, you know what happened with my relationship with money? It got really simple. It got really intentional. And I finally understood what financial sobriety was all about. And now here I am, working with this guy who helped me, trying to help others be much more intentional in these 3 very complicated relationships in their lives. And it feels amazing. Just imagine for a minute. I think of the speakers that we've had up here already. And if we become super intentional, let's go back to that money question of, where did it all go? Right at the end of the month. If all of a sudden now we know where every dollar went because we had that unconditional love for self and for people in this world, and we were super intentional with our money, every dollar we allocated was intentional. What does the world around us look like? What does the foster care system look like here in Sacramento? 525,000 people sleep on the streets tonight in our country. Does that go away? I don't know. Maybe it's something worth reimagining or something like that.
Yeah.